up, everybody? Back at it again. Got the group together, obviously. Today we went to go see Harmony Korine's The Beach Bum, starring Matthew McConaughey. All right. So, I mean, for anybody who knows Harmony Korine's work, he is just polarizing. is a huge understatement. With Korine's films, you either like hate him or you love him usually.
Yeah, he's another one of those filmmakers.
Yeah. I really hated Spring Breakers. I can't stand that movie. Granted, I watched that movie like 5 years ago. So maybe if I watched it now, I probably wouldn't hate it as much, but that movie is still vivid in my mind, and not in a good way, more like in the way that you're traumatized and that you can't get out of your head. But I was not a huge fan of that movie, but I was still kind of looking forward to The Beach Bum because Matthew McConaughey, when he gives a great performance, he really sells it, and I really enjoy, what he has to offer. And overall, like, it just looked like a fun movie. Like, it just looked like a fun, enjoyable movie. So it's like, whatever, let's just do it. So we all just came out of that. So I don't really know what I guess I'll start first, and I'll just say that I actually enjoyed it, but that does not mean that it didn't frustrate me in a lot of ways, and that in almost the same vein that Spring Breakers frustrated me. But I overall did find this movie enjoyable, and there are a lot of, at least for me, there was a lot of really laugh out loud moments. Mm-hmm. And there's some really cool side characters in the movie that come in and out or just there for a sequence. But I thought most of the side characters, I mean, I'm not in love with all of them. I really mostly love Jonah Hill's side character, even though he kind of came off really cartoony and not the most believable, but he was just really fun to watch. Yes, I obviously have problems with the movie, but I'll say that I'm somewhat surprised that I came out enjoying it somewhat. Like, I didn't hate myself for watching it the same way that I hated myself for watching Spring Breakers. So yeah, do you want to go, Eric?
Sure. To contrast between Carlos, I'm actually a fan of Harmony Korine. I don't think he's as great as a filmmaker as Gaspar Noé or Lars von Trier, but Gummo, I think, is a fucking great movie. I think it's really great.
I've yet to see Gummo.
Spring Breakers, I really enjoyed Spring Breakers, and The Beach Bum.
Oof.
I also enjoyed it. It's my least favorite Korine movie so far, but I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would, which was kind of disappointing. But I think the more time goes on, I think I'll like it more. It was pretty. I enjoyed myself. Thought it was pretty fun, pretty funny. Not always funny, but
it has funny moments.
It
has some really funny moments.
And then we got the guy who really loves it.
Oh yeah, this guy right here.
This is actually my first Harmony Korine film, and this film gave me a headache. I'm just gonna say that right off the bat. This film gave me a headache.
Explain. Elaborate.
I was so annoyed with this film. Like, I was just rolling my eyes to the ceiling, waiting for it to end. This movie's an hour and 40 minutes, folks, but it felt like 3 hours for me. Oh my god.
From the first minute, I knew he hated it. I was like, wow, Perry hates this movie already. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. I thought this film was atrocious. I couldn't stand it. I'm losing respect for Matthew McConaughey with the roles he's been taking lately. This is better than what he's been doing lately. Like, it's definitely better than Serenity, which is the worst film I've ever seen. Definitely better than Dark Tower. Definitely better than Gold. But I still think overall it's pretty atrocious.
Yeah, I mean, I don't watch Serenity, so I don't know. But apparently that's just horrible. But I don't know. I mean, honestly, I think Matthew McConaughey was probably the best part of this.
Yeah,
this
I
film.
mean, I'll give it that. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
But like I said, there's outside of him, there's not too much I really enjoyed about this film. A lot of the humor, I know it landed for you and Eric, but a lot of the humor just made me roll up my eyes. I didn't think it was funny. I just thought it was childish and pointless, and I don't think it landed as much as Harmony Korine wanted it to.
Not all of it landed for me.
Oh, no.
There was parts where I'm like, I was kind of rolling my eyes too, like, come on, like, I'm not into this. But there was some parts that I was like, that's funny as shit. But there's parts where it's weird because I don't know if I was laughing at it because I thought it was genuinely funny, or laughing at it because it's just so fucking absurd that I just don't even know what to do except laugh.
Yeah.
Like, but
Harmony Korine likes making you feel so like weirded out that you have to laugh, because Gummo is the same way.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna focus too much on Gummo, but there's like segments in Gummo that are like bizarre, and you just don't know what to do but fucking burst out laughing.
Yeah.
But I promise it's a much smarter film, honestly, I think. But anyways,
To be honest, what really annoyed me about this film is it did have a plot. It did have a plot. It was nearly non-existent, but it did have a plot, and it definitely took a back seat to what Harmony Korine wanted to make. And he wanted to make a film where Matthew McConaughey, who's probably stoned out of his mind, because I know he was probably stoned out of his mind doing Serenity, just comes in contact with a bunch of different actors who have like cameos in this film, or are there for like a sequence or two.
Yeah.
Maybe, stick around for majority of the film.
Yeah.
And just have play off of them and just say a bunch of crazy, absurd, what I guess he thought was funny, dialogue at the time, but it just didn't land. It was just a random set piece after a random set piece. There was really no point to this film. Like, I feel like this film, if it didn't exist, I'd be perfectly fine with that.
I'm happy this film exists.
I mean, okay, obviously, Perry hates it way more than anybody else in here.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that, I could see why you say that the film's pointless, but at the same time, I definitely feel that a lot of the stuff was there to say something. Like, for me, a lot of it has to do with people, first of all, that just not good people, right? Because even the side characters that he has, like, sequences with, like, they're not good people. Like, I don't think any of them are.
Yeah.
But I think one big theme that this movie wanted to really express was a theme of self-destruction.
I can see that.
Human beings who constantly just do everything they can to put themselves in the hole. No matter how good they have it at the moment, they will literally go out of their way to make sure that they're fucked. And the side characters that Matthew McConaughey hangs out with in the movie, like for a few moments, it's funny because they're not really, only one of them, particularly Zac Efron's character, he's the one that's definitely really self-destructive.
I loved his character. I thought he was funny.
His character was fucking
It was ridiculous.
Shit.
It was so ridiculous.
But he's not. That was the one that was like, okay, he's definitely self-destructive. But the other ones, like Martin Lawrence's character and even Jonah Hill's character, they're not really self-destructive. I mean, they are and they can be, but these people at least like have a goal in mind. Like, these people, like, they have something that they're striving for some reason. Even though, like, maybe through that they might self-destruct in some ways, but with Matthew McConaughey's character, it's like he's just a fucking self-destructive mess. Like, every situation that he gets into, it's just like he thinks, how can I further worsen the situation? And one thing, like, I do like that the film had a theme like that throughout the movie, and I also, because honestly, by the third act of this movie, like in the middle of the third act, I was like, I might not even give this a fresh rating, or I might not even try to recommend it to anybody, because it just, like Perry said, it seemed a little too meandery, a little bit pointless, to where I'm just like, I'm not respecting enough about this movie for me to say that it's worthy of recommendation.
Well, it took you to the third act. I didn't even get to the third act, and I'm like, I'm not even giving this a fresh rating.
But the thing is, like, the third act at least had something happen at the very end that I thought was really telling for Matthew McConaughey's character, and at least it kind of hammered in that theme and it didn't let it go. But it kind of, like, at one point, like, I like it, but at the same time, I feel like it was too one note, to the point where, like, okay, I get this is your character, this is your theme, but how long do you expect me to sit here and just see him fuck himself up over and over again?
Yeah.
Like, how am I supposed to sit here and be engaged with just a fuck up all the time?
Right.
And that's one of my main criticisms of the movie, is just like, it just feels like, oh, you're watching a fuck up just meander around for a long time, and it didn't seem like much. And then also with really oddly placed like goofball comedy skits weathered into it, and it just felt like sometimes I'm just like, oh, like, give me a little bit more like substance, something a little bit more captivating that's not just trying to be just, you know, the same thing over and over again with some just crazy outrageous comedy thrown in the mix.
I've honestly felt like Harmony Korine was pranking me with this movie. Like, I just felt like he just wanted to
He was trolling you, dude.
Yeah, just wanted to get a really awful reaction out of me and just pissed me off. I feel like that's what he lived to do. He didn't live to make a film. He didn't want to make a film. He just wanted something that was going to rub people the wrong way. Some people.
I
cannot see that.
I can see it.
I think he wanted to make a retarded film, like, in terms of just like the substance, in terms of like, oh, this is crazy shit, and he succeeded. Like, it's just, it gets so absurd that it's hilarious sometimes. But I mean, it's not a perfect film. I think one of the problems I have with the movie is just like, he'll throw in like character moments, like an interaction between two characters and like a moment they have that's not even like even supposed to be funny, and I'm just like, why did you show me this? Like, what is the point of this actually? Like, this wasn't funny, so why am I seeing this? But there were a lot of stuff that I did was just like, oh my god, this is like gold, because I don't know.
It's just absurd. A lot of it's just like so outrageous.
And by the way, I don't like comedies in movies mostly. Like, not comedy in movies, but like comedy movies. I'm not.
The genre
I'm not
comedy.
A fan,
yeah.
Honestly, because I don't like slapstick humor. I like very dry humor. But there's something about The Beach Bum, like, I didn't love it, but I thought it was pretty good.
It's just annoying because I chuckled like a couple of times in the first act, but once like the charm of the film wore off, it's just like repetition, nothing is happening, this film is aimless. I get it, it's about self-destruction, and I get that, like, it felt pointless and aimless, but I got that from the film. At least it's not like I think the film means nothing.
Yeah.
It's just it didn't give me enough substance or enough character moments to keep me invested.
That's the way I felt about Spring Breakers. It's like, I get it, I get what you're saying, but there's not enough here to keep me invested or captivate me. So why the fuck should I sit around for the next hour of this movie?
And anytime they hinted at an emotional scene or something even like remotely tragic happened in this film, it's just played off for laughs. I'm like, way to be one-dimensional, you one-note filmmaker.
Oh, come on. You've seen one.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying based off this one film. Don't think I'm saying that about Harmony Korine as a whole. Just as based off this one film, it felt extremely one-note.
Well, I can understand that more.
Yeah, I mean, again, like a lot of the same issues that Perry has with this movie, I have with Spring Breakers. I mean, it's one of those films where it's like, yeah, you get it, but like, it just comes off as one note. Like, it's just not, there's not enough there for me to be like, okay, this is a great movie, this is enough to keep me captivated. There's not enough there, at least for me. For The Beach Bum, it felt a little lighter. There was, you have Matthew McConaughey's character, which is, I'm not saying he's like this is the best character dissection you've ever seen or anything, but he's a fun character. Like, at least I enjoyed seeing him on screen. Like, I didn't hate him. Like, I mean, I hated him at some parts because I'm like, god damn it, like, why do you have to be like this? But, for the most part, like, what kept me going in this movie was Matthew McConaughey's character. I know, Eric, you've said it about the movie. We were talking about a little bit. You said that you really like the camera work in this movie, right?
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, I know these guys don't agree as much as me, but I genuinely feel like this film, and Harmony Korine's films in general, like, this is a beautiful looking film. Like, pretty much every shot I was like, wow, this looks gorgeous. Wow, this looks gorgeous.
I will give it that. I do agree with you on that. I will give it that.
And I thought Spring Breakers also looked really well, like, filmed, just in terms of, like, camera work, personally.
I mean, I think this film has a pretty, like, overall aesthetic, like, visual aesthetic atmosphere to it. That's what I like about it. And what I like also about it is that through the atmosphere that it establishes, also with its setting, is that it really does make you feel like you're like in the middle of like Florida. Like you are here experiencing this with the setting, and it really kind of immerses you into that setting really well. And a lot of that is through the camera work, through the characters, through the music too, the soundtrack. There's a lot of like, you know, Florida-ish type music, you know, island type music. Jimmy Buffett is like played throughout this movie.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. What were you gonna say?
Well, what annoyed me is I noticed when there was supposed to be like comedic moments happening in this film, they would use like these cliche like piano notes you hear in a lot of other comedy.
Yeah.
It's like when I heard that, it's like I really wish the music of this film would shut the hell up.
I wasn't a big fan of the score. Yeah.
That's the exact problem I had with Us, except inverse, when it was horror music, like template horror music. But
just the like cliched like piano music you've heard in a whole like 10,000 comedies before. I really wish that would shut the hell up, and maybe I would have enjoyed the jokes more.
And there's also like a really tragic thing that happens to like Matthew McConaughey's character, and you don't really feel it.
Yeah.
Like the way that it was done just felt like
they play it for laughs.
It felt like you were watching a movie. Like it didn't feel like it was. And it sucks because I kind of like the way it happened, because the way that it's directed and the way that it's put together, though the tragic event is kind of compiled in a way that you're not used to seeing, because it kind of jumps back and forth in this odd way. But then once it happened, and it just kind of felt like you didn't feel the impact because it's the way that it was done afterwards.
That's what I was talking about earlier, is anytime this film had a conflict, it was just kind of like played for laughs. And I was thinking, oh, now that this happened, now that this tragic moment happened, maybe there'll be some character development. But it's like, nope, just one-dimensional Matthew McConaughey going through random set pieces with different actors that you like, and
I think that was
may or may not work in the film, which most of them didn't for me.
What do you say, Eric?
I don't feel the way I do about this movie as Spring Breakers, because I see a point in Spring Breakers, but in The Beach Bum, that's the thing. I don't think there's a point to this movie. I mean, yeah, maybe there's some like commentary on like how people can be self-destructive, but I think this movie is intentionally supposed to be like, oh, hey, watch Matthew McConaughey do like really funny, weird stuff, because Harmony Korine said that all he wanted to do was make a stoner comedy with Matthew McConaughey.
But I need more than that. I need more than just Matthew McConaughey, you know, like just being giving a stoner performance, you know, self-destructive character. Because I like his performance in the movie, but I needed more, and I did not get it. Because it's like there are certain films where there are certain aspects I really like about it, but I don't like the film overall because I need more. I'm not going to give it a fresh grade based off of one aspect I really enjoyed about the film.
If that's the intent of the movie, then I'm all for it. But if, you know, Harmony Korine was like setting out to make you feel for Matthew McConaughey, and he failed to do it, I would be like, okay, that's a negative of the movie. You failed your job as a filmmaker to make me care about Matthew McConaughey, like if you were trying to develop more than what he is, and what he is like this like almost force of nature character who's, don't get me wrong, not as well written as somebody like the dude from The Big Lebowski, but he kind of has that same like thing going on when it comes to like, oh, you know, he's like that, like there's not much else to him, like he's not going to think about things in a like brighter light, he's just like, you know, this fucking stoner dude. But don't, like I said, the dude is infinitely better as a character than Matthew McConaughey in this. But
and one thing, because like you know, they say, I know Korine said he set out to make a stoner comedy. A lot of people say that this is a stoner comedy, and I don't know, like I'm kind of hesitant to call it a stoner comedy, because I mean maybe it's just me, because maybe I have a different picture of what I think a stoner comedy is, but this film only maybe gave me like moments of like, oh, this feels like a stoner comedy, because just because they're smoking weed like in the movie throughout it doesn't necessarily mean, oh, this is a stoner comedy. It just
felt
means
like one for me personally.
I don't know, for me it just felt like a movie that has some comedy in it, and the guy happens to smoke weed a lot, and there happens to be some sort of plot point around weed, but it just didn't, I don't know, like it just didn't feel like this was like a stoner comedy to me. It felt like a movie that has weed in it.
I didn't feel like that either. I didn't even feel like it was a stoner comedy, because I mean, it lacked a lot of comedy for me. There was moments.
For you, yeah.
Comedy is subjective, though.
Yeah, it is.
Well, art is subjective, but
Yeah.
Okay, but comedy is
is especially subjective. You're right. You're right.
And like I said, I don't like most what actual people think is stoner comedy. Like Seth Rogen's movies, I don't give a shit. It fucking old Seth Rogen, old what's it called, Jonah Hill movies. Like I could take or leave those movies, honestly.
Well, I mean, like, I don't know, because like when I think of stoner comedy, I do kind of think of like those movies to where like the events that unfold in the movie are a product of somebody's weed adventures, and that didn't feel like the Beach Bum. It just felt like Matthew McConaughey is this person who happens to smoke weed a lot and revolves.
You wouldn't consider like Superbad a fucking stoner comedy just because. That's the thing. I don't think the film has to revolve around weed for it to be a stoner comedy. I see Superbad as a stoner comedy, and I see like something like This Is the End as like a stoner comedy, or the North Korean Seth Rogen and James Franco movie. Like that's a stoner comedy for me. It doesn't have to be like Pineapple Express or those Cheech and Chong movies.
I don't know. For me, a stoner comedy, it has to make weed like its front force thing. Like if that's not your front force thing, then I would not consider it a stoner comedy. To me, it's the comedy with just weed in it. Then, like Superbad, there's barely weed in that movie, but I would never consider it a stoner comedy. Like they drink more than they do smoke weed, so I would not. I would say it's just a comedy with high school kids, and like I would consider obviously Pineapple Express to be a stoner comedy, and shit like Harold and Kumar Store was stoner comedy because their whole adventure is because of weed.
Yeah, I just don't have that criteria.
Well,
that's fine, I guess.
The thing is like Harmony Korine can set out to make a stoner comedy, but all films have to have one thing to make me care, and that's conflict. And this film
didn't have much of that.
Almost none of it.
Yeah.
Almost none of it. And the conflict there was in there just took the back seat of all these random set pieces that just didn't land for me.
Most of the time I just got so frustrated. I'm like, dude, Moondog, stop fucking around and write your goddamn poetry. Oh my god, just do it. Like, what the fuck are you waiting for?
Do it so I can get the fuck out of this theater.
And I get it, like, that's the point of his character. I totally fucking get it, but it's just like, it's hard for me to sit through it for so long sometimes where I'm just like, but that's why I'm kind of glad that at least some of the comedy landed for me, because that's also, you know, Matthew McConaughey's performance and the comedy kind of helped me enjoy the movie a bit more. And yeah, and also I also do like the camera work a bit. I'm not as big of a fan of it as Eric, but I do like it. All right, anybody want to give anything they want to add to the movie or anything they want to say about the movie before we go ahead and give our grades for it?
No.
He's like, I'm good.
done.
He's like, I want to stop talking about this fucking movie.
For real.
What about you, Eric? Anything you just want to say? Just general thoughts about the movie?
No, I mean, I'll give my like little closing thoughts, I guess, when I give my grade.
Fair enough. All right, so we're gonna do grading now. As usual, I'll just go first. So overall, didn't love it. I did obviously enjoy it more than Spring Breakers, which is good. But Spring Breakers was a really low bar, so I don't know how much you want to give it credit for that. But there are aspects of this movie that I do enjoy, including Matthew McConaughey's performance. Some of the aesthetic work is really nice. Overall, I did enjoy the movie. Not a lot, but enough to give it a 6 out of 10. That's my grade for The Beach Bum.
So I guess
Eric goes next. Yeah.
No.
It's a good movie. It's good. It's not my favorite Korine. It's probably gonna be my least favorite, honestly, when it's all said and done. But I still enjoyed myself, and I guess that's it. I'll give it a 7 out of 10.
Ooh, a 7 is pretty good.
I mean, you said it best. I mean, I really enjoyed Matthew McConaughey's performance and the camera work. I really liked. Most of the comedy didn't land for me. Almost all of it, as a matter of fact. I don't want anybody watching this thinking I'm never gonna watch a Harmony Korine film ever again. I'm gonna watch, his filmography and give him a shot, because maybe he's got something out there that I really enjoy, like Gummo.
You're gonna torture yourself if you watch Spring Breakers.
Oh, I'm not watching that.
I wouldn't recommend that to you, Perry. If you didn't like Beach Bum, I'm telling you, you're not gonna like Spring Breakers.
Yeah.
It's literally the Beach Bum, except like on fucking steroids. Like, at least in my opinion, it's just like Ugh.
But overall, I just found this film atrocious, and I seem really annoyed, and I'm like holding, like, it's taking so much strength for me just to not raise my voice right now.
He's trying to keep calm, man.
My final score for this movie is a 3.5 out of 10.
Oh, shit.
Nice,
man.
Good shit.
This is definitely the most the biggest gap that we've ever had in terms of opinion on a movie.
I know, right?
But I mean, I feel your pain, Perry. I totally feel your pain. I think you feel pretty much how I feel when I watch Spring Breakers, except at the time I would have gave that movie like a fucking 1 or a 2 out of 10. Like, I really hated it.
No joke, I was rolling my eyes to the screen. I'm like, just kill me, God. Just do it. Just end it now.
So, 6 out of 10, Eric 7 out of 10, 3.5 out of 10 for Perry. That's the way it goes. You know, we give you guys honest reviews. Sometimes we're not going to agree on shit, and that's just how it is. So,
yeah.
That's the kind of content you like. That's why we're here. But all right, appreciate you guys sticking around to hear all of our thoughts on the Beach Bum. If you really enjoyed what we had to say, of course, please don't forget to give it a like, and also do not forget to subscribe to the channel to be updated on more content. This is Carlos, Perry, Eric in the back, and see you later.
See you later.
Bye bye.